spiritual life if we can understand that we are spirit, soul, not this body, right? And this chapter deals with that, and the section that we are reading is actually speaking that part, that we are spirit, soul, not this body. How do we really experience that, right? So I feel like when we are practicing our devotional service, when we are chanting, when we are hearing, reading, and all that time, if we can bring ourselves to that conception, who am I? Just like even Sanatana Goswami, even though he is such a great devotee, but when he is meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says that I don't even know who am I. People call me a learned person, but I don't even know who am I. And I feel so proud that I know this and that, but I don't even know who am I. So I think if we keep questioning, I haven't, I don't know myself. I also feel that even though theoretically I know that I am not this body, but I don't live my life that way. So yeah, but if we keep questioning, then Krishna will reveal and he will help us that even though theoretically we hear many things. So just will I say I hand, I mouth, I, we always say my hand, my eyes, my nose, my this and that, right? So that way, yes, we understand. And also another thing that we hear is that when we are sleeping, then everything is at rest, nothing is working. And in the morning when we get up, I can say that did I sleep well or not, or I couldn't sleep. So there was an observer there, and who is that observer? That was the soul. And also one more way is that the difference between the dead body and a living body, right? So yeah, these things all of us know theoretically, but still uh, I'm thinking about the example of Ambarish Maharaj when the fiery thing came from Durvasa Muni, he didn't budge an inch. Even though he's a Kshatriya, generally Kshatriyas, they would just take their weapon and start chastising the opposite force. But he didn't budge an inch. His feet didn't move. He just took shelter of the Supreme Lord fully. And then later, when Durvasa Muni comes back begging, then he prays to Sudarshan Chakra that if I have done any pious activity or anything, that goes to this Durvasa Muni. He is such a person. Like if we understand that we are spirit, soul, not this body, that realization, then that is how we will be, right? Yeah. All right, so let's continue. So from verse 14th, who wants to read?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Apraspashastu kunteya Sitoshna Sukha Dukada Agama Paino Nityastam Pitik Sashva Bharata. Translation Dr. Bashir Prabhupada. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the proper discharge of duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearance and disappearance of happiness and distress. According to the Vedic injunction, one has to take his bath early in the morning, even during the months of Magha, January, February. It is very cold at that time, but in spite of that, a man who abides by the religious principles does not hesitate to take his bath. Similarly, the woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the month of May and June, the hottest part of the summer season. One has to execute his duty in spite of climatic inconveniences. Similarly, to fight is a religious principle of the Kshatriya, and although one has to fight with some friend or relative, one should not deviate from his prescribed duties. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of the religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Because by knowledge and devotion, one can only can one liberate himself from the clutches of Maya illusion. The two different names of address given to Arjuna are also significant. To address Arjuna as Konteya signifies his great blood relations from his mother's side, and to address him as Bharata signifies his greatness from his father's side. From both sides, he is supposed to have a great heritage. A great heritage brings responsibility in the matter of proper discharge of duties. Therefore, he cannot avoid fighting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You want to say something?
Yes, Mataji. So here Krishna is trying to impress upon Arjuna why he should fight, and he's saying that this non-permanent appearance and disappearance of happiness and distress, and then the disappearance in due course of time, just like winter or summer seasons, and they arise from sense perception, and one should learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada also tells that one has to um, tolerate non-permanent happiness and distress in one's life. And so we may so today we may be very we shouldn't get over elated if something good happens in our life, and at the same time we shouldn't get uh, too affected by if some adversaries come in life, because we should know that these are temporary and they're here today, we're gone tomorrow. And gives this wonderful example that in the winter in India, especially January, February, it's very cold, but still saintly people, they still take their bath in the morning. In the previous years, it was in the rivers, and even now, so some sadhus will do that. And for the woman kitchen in the sorry, May, June, very hot time, but still they don't give up their duty of cooking. So similarly, us, we should not give up our occupational duties. For example, a Kshatriya has to fight, and so with us, we should not give up our occupational duty. We carry on, and if these adversaries come, we should know that they're here today, will be gone tomorrow. And at the same time, again, if happiness comes, we shouldn't get too elated, because that's also going to go away soon. So with a very tolerant, tolerating mood, uh, we should continue our duty. And then Srila Prabhupada also said Arjuna was addressed as Kuntayas, because that was from his mother's side, great heritage from his mother's side, and he was addressed as Bharata, which was signified from his father's side. So from both sides, he had great heritage, and that carried a lot of responsibility, which means he had to carry his duty to fight. Yes,
Hmm.
Mataji, that's all I have to say.
Yeah. So the importance of prescribed duty, basically, no matter what we have to go through, we need to tolerate that, knowing that it is all temporary. I remember there is something about that ring. Somebody has a ring, and on all the sides, no matter where you see it, it says, "This will pass. This will also pass." So basically, whenever situation comes in our life, then nothing is permanent. Basically, it just keeps changing. It keeps changing. So that tolerance on the basis of that, yeah, this will also pass, this is temporary. So we need to remind ourselves again and again and again. And what is this verse also saying? Krishna is saying to him that you need to follow your dharma of a Kshatriya. So, what does that following one's dharma does, one's prescribed duty? So, even in third chapter, we will hear about the prescribed duty. They are born from the prescribed duty is born from the Vedas, basically, right? And it's from Krishna. The Vedas is the breathing of the Supreme Lord. So basically, it's born from the Supreme Lord. So it's essential for spiritual advancement because they fulfill our material desires in a regulated way and under the authorities. Basically, it's under the authority, not just like, oh, randomly one, whatever I want to do I can just do. And then this gradually detaches us from bodily conception of life, and then one can rise to the platform of knowledge. So that's what happens when one follows the prescribed duty. And also, then when one is following that dharma of prescribed duties, then um, what happens is the lower qualities go away. One is not trapped in the lower qualities. And then what happens is it leads to knowledge. And then from knowledge, one can attain liberation also, slowly, gradually. And what happens otherwise um, if we give up our dharma, then, and giving up our dharma without having a proper knowledge, then it will lead to difficulties and obstacles in our life. And then that's why one should tolerate the things temporarily that are happening in our life for dharma, for following our dharma. So if we don't tolerate, then nobody will do their duty at all properly. Even like getting up early and sending the kids to school and all that, that also we people won't do, right? Oh, I'm tired today. I can't get up and cook and send my kids to school. All these are prescribed duties for grihasthas, right? And also another very important point of heritage. Similar, and in first chapter also we heard multiple times that part. Krishna using different names of Arjuna. Here it is Kante and Bharata. So he belongs to such exalted the dynasties. So when one has that heritage, then we have Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, then one has the responsibility also. So we belong to Srila Prabhupada's mission now. So we also have a lot of responsibility, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So maybe we can
Mataji,
go.
I make a
Yes,
question,
Prabhu.
Mataji.
Yes.
So this verse, Mataji, uh, does not apply to ordinarily life conditions where somebody is facing some uh, very severe health crisis or anything, right? Because this only because how do you can apply this verse to, for example, that friend of mine who passed away. I
Uh,
remember before he passed away, he was saying his wife. Now at that time they didn't know it was the cancer which was being. They thought it was maybe he was not feeling the movements because of his spinal stenosis, and they did operated, and it was taking a long time for him to heal. So he always used to question his wife that how long this is going to last. I'm getting so tired of it, And then, his wife, he says, hey, you'll be fine. You should come alone. And sure enough, we found it apparently after he passed away, we realized it wasn't that stenosis, it was the cancer which was shutting everything down. So somebody is having a real life crisis. We can't tell him this. I mean, or her, because, they'll say, come on, what do you mean it's going to pass? They've given me 6 months to live, So this does not apply to somebody who's in a deathbed, right?
I mean, Prabhu,
Unless it is,
so
unless it's very knowledgeable and you tell him, oh,
yeah,
spirit,
so
it is the next part.
it depends on one's spiritual level where one stands. One who is not spiritually advanced, they cannot do it. I mean, but I'm thinking of His Holiness Kadambakanand Swami.
Right. So, I mean, so you have to be basically a very
Yeah,
very advanced.
it depends on one's spiritual advancement, Prabhu. But Krishna's advice, this is the first instruction Krishna is giving: tolerate.
Right.
So
Right.
one has to start practicing it, basically. I mean, I'm not there yet at all. I mean, I probably, if I am in your friend's situation, I would probably freak out. I don't know. So, um, but as we are getting this knowledge, we are advised by Krishna to start
Right.
tolerating when we feel agitated by the non-permanent nature of happiness and distress. We should start tolerating slowly,
Mm.
gradually. And then again, if we take one step, then Krishna helps us more and more and more. So I cannot say if it applies to people who are on the deathbed or not. It depends on one's spiritual advancement. But this verse is the beginning in the sense that we should start tolerating
Right.
whenever
Right.
we feel agitated by
Adver-
something.
right. When you get
Yeah.
adversity in life, yeah. Yeah, I know. I can understand that, but it is a If it's a terminal condition, then you have to be very advanced devotee, because otherwise it's very difficult to tell
Yeah.
somebody,
Otherwise, even for devotees, it's hard. So
Right.
here there is one Mataji who is Srila Prabhupada's disciple. She has very bad kind of arthritis. She cannot do her things by herself. So I go to see her once a week, and she is in pain. She is in
Yeah.
pain, and she says it. Even
Mm.
okay, Srila Prabhupada's example. It's not that Srila Prabhupada didn't have pain. He had pain
Right.
when his kidneys, we know that when his kidneys were not working, that's why he was taking massage to get the toxins out of his body. So and one time Srila Prabhupada's tooth was hurting and he
Right.
said, I
Okay.
cannot translate. So he did feel the pain, but he did
Right.
not indulge in that pain.
Mm. Okay.
And there are differences in the people. Like I have my parents, both have different type of pain kind of things, and their level of tolerance is much higher than I can imagine.
Mm. Okay.
it
Right.
everybody it's
It's different.
everybody is different, but this is the advice Krishna is giving, this is the
Right. Right.
instruction Krishna is giving, that things in this material world will come and go. So
Right.
our attitude towards the temporary miseries should be to tolerate, because this is going to go away anyways. I mean, it's easy to say, Prabhu, I'm
For
not
advanced
there.
for
I
advanced
freak
devotees,
out on small things, but this is what Krishna is saying, and
right.
we
Right.
can try to take slowly, gradually at our level. Somebody wants to add something to this?
I just want to say, Mata, yeah, I mean, definitely we can see it's helping. I mean, we are not there, but at some level we see right now we are following this, like chanting and reading the scripture. So
Mm-hmm.
to some extent, we can see definitely it's working our consciousness, and sometimes see consider like before. Suppose I started from last 5 6 years. So before that, how was my consciousness? How I
Mm-hmm.
used to react when something happened. But now, like there is definitely improvement, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that way we can take it, and that gives us confidence that yeah, we have to improve in this. I mean, our consciousness we have to take higher level,
Yeah.
and
No, see, daily non-permanent situations, I mean, materially speaking, Prabhu, is we can understand. But if somebody is given a diagnosis, a terminal diagnosis, unless you are a very advanced devotee like Kadamba Maharaj, he even said that
Yeah,
this body is going to go, he's
yeah,
going to get another body. Unless you are at that level, it's very difficult to explain or even
yeah,
try to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we cannot do that, Prabhu, at that time. So, but this is a advice of Krishna.
Right, right, right.
Basically, like that's why Prahlad Maharaj says that one should start
At a
practicing
young age, at
Bhagavad
very young age.
Gita from the very childhood, right? So,
Right.
but what we can do is we can pray to them, pray for them, and we can support them, like we discussed last time also when you brought out this question about your friend, that we can, at that time when somebody is suffering, what we can do is we can be a support for them emotionally, physically. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
We
See,
cannot
see,
speak
right.
philosophy
See,
for sure.
so I was just talking to my other friend, he's also kind of a hospice at home, but and he's telling his wife, I've had enough of this. I'm sick and tired of it. I cannot take the pain anymore. Please don't put me I don't want to be on ventilator, nothing. Just let me go. But unfortunately, the soul, I mean, of course, he still has to, his karma is burning up, I guess. He's still there, but he's every day saying, I've had enough. I can't take this anymore. I can. So what do you tell to such a person? We just, it's very difficult. I know theoretically we have the knowledge, but to practically apply such this situation is so difficult, to make sure that other person doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, yeah, we cannot speak this philosophy when a person is in that space. We just can be the support them. Okay,
We
what
can
can
just
I
pray
do to
actually.
help you? What
Yeah.
can I do to help you? Can
Right,
I
right.
give you some prasadam? Can I do something at your home? Bhakti Vinod Prabhu, I
Right,
think you
right.
want to say something. Go ahead.
Mataji, for me, it's like, okay, instead of preaching this to others because they're sensitive, it's we have to say it is applicable to us, first of all.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
we are going through this, I know it's difficult for us to remind also of this, but this is the first instruction, Mataji was saying. This is the first instruction of Krishna to Arjun. Arjun is also forgetting that he's not, he should not think on the bodily platform, but we tend to think on the bodily platform also. But this is the first instruction. Even if we are on the deathbed, then this is the instruction. We should think this is for us. And for others, we
Yeah.
have to have compassionate. For also, we have to have compassion, but we have to see the bigger picture. Now that we are practicing Krishna consciousness, we should understand this is just a temporary thing. And I was also reminded of, I think, Jagannath Das Babaji. Didn't he used to call, like, he used to speak of himself in a third person, right? There is this Jagannath Das Babaji, and he is the soul. He used to speak of himself in the third person, saying, he is different. Soul is different than this body. So, like, to have that level of consciousness is, of course, very, very high. But it's an instruction Krishna is giving us that we should apply in our lives. Of course, we cannot speak then when we're speaking to third person. But again, when we know that when a person dies, second chapter is of Bhagavad Gita is being read. So because this is the truth, this is the eternal truth, and we should apply in our lives, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I am.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhus. So should we do one more verse quickly, or just, I think it's already 8:38. So I think let's leave it for next time, tomorrow. Okay?
Yeah,
Hare Krishna. So any points anybody wants to say about Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatam, please. Quickly.
Mataji, I just want to say, I mean, definitely I'm not there, but I could see, I went just like a kidney stone surgery, right, for 2, 3 times. So last time I went just 1 year before. So I could see this time, I mean, although it's painful, I was knowing, but when I compare to like the one I went for 5, 6 years before, so that time how I was reacting to that, and what was my conscience, I was thinking why it's happening to me again and again. So last I was, because we know some philosophy, so I mean I was sure, I mean we know, okay, yeah, whatever is happening to us, it's due to our karma, and I mean all those things, right? Also, as we do some chanting now, so I mean I mean that time whenever it's painful time, I mean I could do that actually, like some chanting, and I could ultimately I could come out of that easily. So I mean, I feel, I mean, although it's painful, but I didn't feel like how earlier it happened. So I just
That's gradual, because we are maturing little by little in our Krishna consciousness. So that means the process works.
yeah,
It
that,
might work slowly, but it is working.
yeah,
There is some
At least we can understand it
transformation
all
of the
coming us.
heart happening. Yes,
right.
Prabhu.
No, just saying, at least we know the philosophy so that these are karmas burning up, that at least we can take it in that context, and then things could have been worse. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's not easy when we are going
yeah,
through
yeah.
difficulties.
See,
Because
as long
for
I
40
think as long as it,
or white
I'm sorry.
it will be at the time of death. So, and that time also, now we are quite young. So, but that I,
Yeah,
I don't
true.
know.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And also what happens is when we are practicing for so long, or even for some years, at least instead of freaking out or just being always thinking of that pain or difficulty, we try to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. I don't know, Krishna, what should I do? I'm in pain right now, but I don't know what do I do.
Right, right,
Right? So, meaning we try to chant, and then we have devotee friends who come and give us some solace.
right.
For devotees, we can read. Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita and all. Like here, when so many older devotees, they are in hospitals and all, we are asked to go and read Srila Prabhupada's books or do some kirtan. I mean, at least that is the benefit of trying to be a devotee.
Yeah, right.
That's very true. Because when I remember when I was just going in operation theater, like just 5 minutes before that, I received call from His Grace Baldev Prabhu, who is a senior disciple of Rajanath Swami Maharaj. So he spoke me a few things just so that all happened before entering the operation theater, and that's something give me confidence actually. So that's true that as devotees are around, so
Yeah, yeah.
that,
Yeah,
Mataji, I have a quick question.
we can, one second, Prabhu. We can see the example of our Madhuri Radha. Imagine just a day before, what is his name? Hmm, what is his name? Whose PPTs we use?
Yeah. Radhesham Prabhu.
Radhesham Prabhu called. Adi Gadadhar Prabhu joined that call and he spoke about Vrindavan to
Yeah.
Madhuri Radha. I mean, that day and the morning that she left, just few hours before, one Mataji from Vrindavan called and she showed the darshan of Gaurnitai Krishna Balaram Radha Shyam Sundar Srila Prabhupada from Krishna Balaram Vrindavan temple. Yeah, so that is what we have basically as devotees. Yes, Prabhu, Janeshwar Prabhu, let's do
No,
it
just
quick.
I just wanted to know. Do you know there was one Prabhuji who 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 was losing his residence? You know, there was a thing on the website, and they were collecting donations because he
Uh-huh.
was losing his house, and they were trying to collect money for trailer. I was wondering, do you know if he got his trailer or not?
I don't know, Prabhu.
It was
I don't know.
posted by it was on the temple. It was on temple newsletter. Prabhupada's disciple.
Yeah, I know it was. I'll try if I can find out. Definitely something might have, Krishna must have worked some magic for sure. Yeah, Prabhu, there are so many things. I don't know
Yeah,
what all can we do really. I mean, it's difficult.
every day there's something coming up, especially with now Prabhupada disciples
So
getting older
many
and older. Son.
devotees, yeah, so many devotees. So I just don't know what all, I mean, my capacity is too low to do much. Yeah, all right. I think devotees, we will end. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, our savior, captain of the ship, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, all glories to all of you, and Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Vancha Kalparibhasya, Kripa Sindhu Jai, Patitanam Pavanebhyo
पावनेभ्यो
Vaishnavebhyo,
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, dear
हरि हरि बोल।
devotees.
थैंक
Hari
यू
Bol.
माता